Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that Sophia Choi will carry out a scandalous Holly Jonas scheme and vow to end Tate Black's romance for good. Dual fans know Sophia still has feelings for Tate, so she's clinging to hope that maybe they can be together someday. Of course, Sophia didn't want Tate to be with her because of the baby, nor did she want to get saddled with a kid this young. That's why Sophia chose to surrender her son in a safe haven box and move forward with some Tate deception. As far as Sophia's concerned, she's got her whole life ahead of her. That life could include Tate if Sophia plays her cards right, so she'll keep making grand plans for them as a couple. However, Days spoilers say Sophia will face some obstacles due to Tate's reunion with Holly. Tate and Holly are entering a new chapter, so their love is only going to intensify from here. Holly will get caught up in a kidnapping crisis with Ariana Ari Horton, soon thanks to Doug Williams III. Tate will be worried sick and may get a chance to help with the joint rescue in the end. Whatever the case, Days spoilers say Holly and Tate's bond will be stronger than ever after all the abduction chaos plays out. Once Sophia finishes duping Tate about the bogus adoption, she can turn her attention to destroying his connection with Holly. Ari will try to serve as the voice of reason, so she'll push Sophia to stop trying to come between the lovebirds and just let Tate go. Unfortunately, Sophia is becoming increasingly obsessed with Tate, so that's going to mean bad news for Holly. Days released a preview video that covers some content for summer and beyond. There's a scene in the promo that features Sophia snapping pics of Holly in bed and making things look more. Sophia might even drug Holly to knock her out for this little photo shoot. We'll see Sophia pose Holly with her bra showing and somehow spread the pics in the end. Sophia might make it look like Holly's throwing herself at other men and sneaking around behind Tate's back. Regardless, Sophia's going to sink to some disturbing levels as she launches a scandal and tries to ruin Tate's relationship with Holly permanently. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Sophia will prove to be quite the saboteur, so stay tuned for updates on all the chaos headed Tate and Holly's way. This week, the walls are closing in on Days of Our Lives Chanel. Why? Because good news for hubby Johnny proves to be very bad news for her. But it looks as if EJ, yes, the victim himself, might have an idea which could just solve the biggest mystery in town. Plus, two young women find themselves being used as pawns in a dangerous game. Read on for all the details. As EJ and Belle put their heads together to save Johnny, EJ feels the key is recalling what happened that night. Belle has an idea that could help. We're thinking it involves Dr. Marlena and her famous hypnotism skills. Not only did Gwen return to Salem with Alice's necklace, sending Julie's blood pressure skyrocketing, but next week she reveals a huge secret to Kristen. It turns out Gwen is still married. It's a good thing Leo is happily taken, but is this a hint that Dimitri might not be far behind Gwen in returning to Salem? After learning Xander took Victoria from the Kiraiki's mansion, Sarah confronts her soon-to-be ex-husband, who warns her she's making a mistake she'll regret. Was that a threat? Finally, a masked man armed with a gun takes Holly and Ari hostage and warns them that if he doesn't pay up, it will be very bad for both of them. It looks like Doug's shady past has caught up with him, and the two women he's grown close to in Salem are paying the price. Read the Days of Our Lives spoilers to find out who Sophia spins a tale to, and what little Thomas has in store for Kat. Days of Our Lives spoilers and updates tease that Leo Stark and Javi Hernandez might encounter some emotional challenges regarding adoption. If Javi and Leo are on the path to becoming the new fathers of Tesoro, they could potentially experience heartbreak. Duel fans are aware that Leo and Javi have taken on the role of foster parents for the adorable baby boy who has entered their lives. Javi and Leo are quickly developing feelings for this little one, raising the question, could they be considering adoption? Naturally, Days spoilers indicate that this plan may face some hurdles, particularly if Leo's past criminal history becomes an issue. Nevertheless, Javi and Leo could confront these obstacles together, aspiring to create a genuine family with Tesoro. It's easy to envision Leo and Javi tying the knot as they strive to establish a stable and united front. Days spoilers suggest that Javi and Leo may finally achieve their dream of family, but their happiness could be short-lived. When Sophia Choi decided to place her baby in the safe haven box at the fire station, Tate Black played a significant role in that choice. Sophia feared that if Tate laid eyes on his newborn son, he would instantly want to keep him. This did not align with Sophia's goal of reclaiming her life, leading her to make the difficult decision to give her baby up. Considering some of Tate's comments just before the birth, it seems likely that Sophia's instincts were correct. Leo and Javi's endeavor to adopt Tesoro might unravel when they come to the painful conclusion that they have to hand him over to Tate as his rightful father. It all depends on if Tate decides he wants the baby and is able to trace him successfully and find out he's baby Tesoro, which could take a while. There is a chance that Javi and Leo going to make a genuine effort to establish a family, only for it all to result in utter devastation. Will Tate end up taking his child and willingly accept the role of a father, perhaps months down the line when Javi, Leo, and Tesoro are fully bonded? According to the upcoming spoilers for the NBC Peacock soap, Leo and Javi will face difficult challenges ahead, so keep watching. Days of Our Lives spoilers are in for Monday, July 14th, 2025. In the next episode, fans can expect Gwen Rizchek to reconnect with Kristen DiMera. Holly Jonas vanishes. Plus, Tate Black interrogates Doug Williams III. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. Let's begin with Gwen, who has returned to Salem. It was assumed that Gwen was going to return Julie Williams' necklace, or at least negotiate. However, Gwen just came back to gloat. She keeps going on about how filthy rich she is, but money doesn't mean much if you are alone, bitter, and hated. Gwen recently got drunk and nearly slept with Xander Cook Kyriakis. However, Xander backed out at the last minute. So this will probably be one of the topics that Gwen brings up when reconnecting with Kristen. Over with Holly, she will go missing. However, we know from the summer promo that Ari Horton is taken hostage before Holly. Both girls will be kidnapped by Doug's loan sharks. Doug still can't pay the people off despite Holly already giving him tons of money. When Holly disappears, Tate will feel that something is wrong. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Monday, July 14th reveal that Doug will be grilled by Tate. The men will argue and Tate will assume Doug is somehow involved. At this point, nobody realizes that there has been a double kidnapping. However, after the argument with Doug, he will take action. He will know that it's his fault that Holly has gone missing. Doug might even worry that Ari is in danger, but it will be too late to warn her. Fans will also see E.J. DiMera make a suggestion to Belle Black. The memory card suddenly turning up to Belle anonymously is already strange. What are the chances that E.J. sent it to her? What if E.J. is trying to frame Chanel Dupree DiMera? Chanel has always been a thorn in E.J.'s side. Meanwhile, Chanel and Johnny DiMera try to support each other. With both prime suspects in E.J.'s shooting, what will the future hold for Janelle? Will the real shooter get caught, or is there another twist? Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Monday, July 14th, 2025? Days of Our Lives spoilers hint that Gwen Rizchek has had an explosive return to the land of Salem. From showing up at the Horton residence, wearing the family's stolen necklace, to almost hitting the sheets with her ex, Xander Kyriakis. She brought some bombshells along with her, so could a romance be in the cards? Next, Days of Our Lives spoilers remind fans that Gwen and Xander had an incredible romance back in the day. Unfortunately, his heart always belonged to Sarah Horton Kyriakis, and once she returned to the canvas, all bets were off where Gwen was concerned. While Gwen loved Xander's darker side, the fact that he did not also became an issue. Upon her return, the two almost did the deed in her Salem Inn hotel room, indicating that both Gwen and Xander do still have feelings for each other. Xandy stopped the entire thing, so will he come to regret this? There are a couple of signs that Gwen and Philip Kyriakis could dive into a romance. The first one is that Xander, who still cares for Gwen, hates his brother. The drama and conflict between all three involved would be off the charts, especially since Xander may not want to be with Gwen himself, but also won't be able to stand seeing her with Philip. Other factors to consider? Well, Gwen will need a romantic interest, and Philip is single and has been hot for a minute. But will these two pass the chemistry test? Philip's quirkiness, his low-level charm, plus deceitfulness could turn Gwen's head. The fact that he's stinking, filthy, rich, just like her, and part of the esteemed Kyriakis family won't hurt either. Also, knowing a relationship with Philip could get under Xandy's skin could be the very thing that will have Gwen diving into a romance with her ex's brother head first. Will Philip and Gwen hook up? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Tune into the new Peacock soap regularly for all the drama, and check out this site often for the best Days of Our Lives news, updates, and spoilers. The 52nd Annual Daytime Emmy nominations were announced on July 9th and 10th. And as always, there were actors who didn't land nominations who should have. Susan Seaforth Hayes addressed her lack of a nomination in an Instagram post. Find out why these other 4 actors from Days of Our Lives should have been nominated. In 2024, Johnny and Chanel faced a heartbreaking miscarriage that deeply impacted their relationship. Chanel's high-risk pregnancy, caused by accidental radiation exposure, ended tragically. The couple experienced immediate shock and overwhelming grief. Johnny stood by Chanel's side, offering emotional support despite his own pain. Both wrestled with guilt. Chanel blamed herself for the complications, while Johnny struggled with helplessness. This devastating loss became a major turning point in their marriage, creating emotional distance and trust issues. Later in the year, Johnny betrayed Chanel by having a one-night stand with Joy, a fellow actress on the Body and Soul set. Believing Chanel was involved with Alex, Johnny acted on impulse and regret. He first confided in EJ, asking him to keep the secret, then later admitted the truth to Abe, Chanel's father. The emotional confession underscored the weight of his actions. Chanel learned the truth at a New Year's Eve party, though those scenes aired in early 2025 and are not eligible for Emmy consideration. Chanel's devastation over losing the baby gave Bowens an opportunity to portray a wide emotional range, from a grieving mother filled with self-blame to a heartbroken wife trying to empathize with her husband's pain. Boatman has been a standout on Days since joining the cast in 2021, consistently turning in compelling performances. As the son of 2 iconic characters, Sammy and EJ, and a product of 2 of Salem's core families, the Bradys and the DeMeras, it was clear from the start that Johnny would be a central figure. Carson has more than risen to the occasion. The actor delivered some of his strongest performances as EJ throughout 2024 on Days. His portrayal during the intense legal and family confrontations, especially scenes involving the secret paternity test cover-up with Sloan and the explosive fallout with his son Johnny, showcased his ability to convey complex emotions like guilt, determination, and vulnerability. Feuerriegel's nuanced acting during confrontations with Nicole, Paulina, and Abe highlighted EJ's internal struggles between loyalty and ambition. These standout moments proved why Feuerriegel's portrayal remains a fan favorite, bringing depth and intensity to one of Salem's most powerful characters. His chances of a nomination in 26 are pretty much on lock given the Who Shot EJ storyline and Fallout, which is still airing. In July 2024, Days viewers witnessed the dramatic aborted wedding of Alex and Teresa, a pivotal moment that shook the Kyriakis family and left fans on the edge of their seats. The double wedding ceremony, which also featured Xander and Sarah, was abruptly derailed when Fiona dropped a bombshell revelation. Alex was not Victor's biological son, Xander was. This stunning twist led to the annulment of Alex and Teresa's marriage, sparking intense emotional fallout and complex family dynamics. Throughout this gripping storyline, Wilson, who portrays Alex, delivered some of his strongest performances to date. Wilson masterfully captured Alex's shock, heartbreak, and determination to fight for his place within the family. His ability to convey vulnerability alongside resilience added depth to the character, making the turmoil feel authentic and compelling. Wilson's nuanced acting, particularly in scenes where Alex confronted betrayal, struggled with his identity, and faced the collapse of his relationship with Teresa, made him a strong contender for the Emmy. A Sweet Teen and Tyke are back at Days of Our Lives. Here's the soap's latest comings and goings, casting news. Find out if any popular stars from yesteryear are boarding the show this week or in the near future, if any newcomers are joining the soap in contract, recurring, G or day player roles, or if any of your favorite actors or actresses are leaving the Peacock drama. Christopher Carey returns as Chad's adorable son, Thomas. The Tyke invites Annalyn McCord's cat to play with him and his dad on Wednesday, July 16th. Kennedy Garcia gets more screen time as Felicity Green. She shares scenes with Flynn, McCord, and Leo Howard's Tate on Friday, July 18th. Shai Nielsen pops in as Amy Choi on Thursday, July 17th. She works opposite her TV daughter, Rachel Boyd's Sophia. Michael Massini has been playing the thug who's been tailing Marissa Reyes's Ari. The menacing character is back on Monday, July 14th, and Tuesday, July 15th. He'll interact with Reyes, Ashley Puzemis' Holly, and Peyton Meyer's Doug. Days of Our Lives spoilers for the week of July 14th to 18 tease a big week for Salem's teen scene after a return rocked some lives. Xander apologized to Felicity for how he treated her during Sarah's allergic reaction, then ran into Sarah and took her to dinner to discuss custody of Victoria. Tate visited Sophia. No idea she was wearing a fake baby bump. Later, he met up with Holly, and they prepared for their upcoming senior getaway. Chad and Kat continue to bond. Gwen showed up at the Horton house wearing Julie's necklace. When Gwen showed up at the Horton house, she revealed she has no plans of giving back the necklace. When Tesoro wouldn't stop crying, Leo took him to the hospital. Later, Gwen made her presence known. Rafe ratted out Ari's close relationship with Doug III after Roman gave him a heads up. Later, Ari went to the pub, where she was followed by the thug Doug III's money too. Gwen reunited with Xander, and when the two got drunk, Xander went back with her to get room at the Salem Inn. Ari confronted Doug III about him pushing her away, and he explained that he owes a guy money. Belle lent Marlena a listening ear as she believed John. Leo was forced to explain his past with Gwen to Javi. Bonnie offered Sarah some advice about Xander. When Gwen woke up, she remembered Xander almost sleeping with her before he told her he couldn't, and hurried out. JJ arrived at her door to take the necklace, but she fought him on it. Xander arrived at work, where he ran into Philip. Tony suggested EJ help him get Dimera back. Jada and Belle watched the footage on the memory stick and discovered that Chanel was caught on the footage threatening EJ's life. Jada brought Chanel in for questioning, and Chanel denied shooting EJ or ever threatening him. Belle showed EJ the footage of Chanel. When Sarah showed up at Titan Dimera, she and Xander fought over her wanting to take Victoria on vacation with you, prompting Sarah to beg Philip to come clean about what Xander did to him. Xander confronted Maggie about Sarah wanting to take off with Victoria and decided to leave with his daughter. Gwen's back, and she brought the necklace with her. But she refused to hand it over to Julie, claiming she paid a small fortune for it. She was being a real jerk about it. But this version of Gwen is much more refined. She now touts herself as Mrs. von Leuschner and managed to snag a chunk of Dimitri's fortune with the intent of taking it all. This version of Gwen is very confident, albeit conceited. But Emily O'Brien's acting is so good, you can see the undertones of her not being truly happy. I'm looking forward to watching her story unfold, and you'll notice later that she's got a lot of memorable and hilarious quotes in just this week so far. Gwen and Xander almost slept together, but he thought better of it, even in his drunken state. I have high hopes that he and Sarah will reunite. Sophia continued her phony pregnancy charade with Melinda's help, so we'll see how that potential disaster turns out. And while Xander and Philip begrudgingly tried to get along, the big news this week was Alex professing his love for Stephanie, and she returned the sentiment. They seem like they have super couple potential, and I'd like to see a younger couple withstand the test of time like Marlena and John, or Steve and Kayla, or even Doug and Julie. We need more of those. It was nice that Xander finally apologized to Felicity. He's really got to work hard to treat people better, or he's going to get written out of the show. Paulina insisted that she and Chanel air their dirty laundry, right in the middle of Horton Square. Fortunately, they didn't say anything too bad, and no one overheard them. But come on, people. Secrets and open-air conversations don't mix well. When Julie invited Chad to Salem's 4th of July Pops concert, he turned her down and admitted he didn't like classical music very much. Shocked and disappointed, she says to him, "Oh, honey, you're missing out on the great treasure of civilization." She offered to introduce him to some greats, and he reluctantly agreed. She told him they would start with Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, the Pathétique. Very, very popular, she said. Then she wanted to move on to Chopin with Chopin's Ballade in G minor, Opus 23. Chad was impressed by her knowledge of classical music and hoped that it would rub off on his kids. He would later, hilariously, tell Kat that he really can't stand classical, which is too bad because he's missing out. Tate asked Holly what her astrological reading for that day was, and he was surprised that she actually knew it when she said, "You mean like, with Neptune being in retrograde?" Basically, that means that from Earth's vantage point, Neptune seems to be moving backwards through the zodiac, which is simply an optical illusion because of its relative position and movements. Astrologers often interpret it as a time of reflection, clarity, and reality checks. Leo was explaining to Javi that he regretted how he had treated Gwen in the past. "She was my BFF, my ride or die. And I adored her. I mean, she's witty and she's worldly. And don't take this the wrong way, you are a great dancer, but she's like Travolta in Saturday Night Fever." That film, of course, was a phenomenal hit in 1977 at the height of disco's popularity. It made a star out of John Travolta, who had become well known from playing Vinnie Barbarino on the hit sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter. The movie is excellent and is easily in my top 20. It's one of those that you forget exactly how rated R it is until you watch it again, which I highly recommend. When Doug Atu was being cryptic about why he had kicked Ariana out of the Brady pub previously, she asked, "Who are you? James Bond? If I have to explain who James Bond is, you're probably not from this planet." Xander and Gwen referred to their old landlady as the Incredible Hulk, a Marvel character who is probably just as popular as James Bond, so I don't think I need to elaborate further. At one point, Tony and EJ are talking about their amazing executive assistant Rita. Tony refers to her as our girlfriend, Friday. That's a term that refers to a competent, loyal, and often underappreciated female assistant. It originated in Daniel Defoe's 1719 book Robinson Crusoe, in which the title character gains a friend in a native man named Friday, and he would later call him his man Friday, which meant that he was an invaluable helper. Girl Friday is the female equivalent and became popular after the hit 1940 screwball comedy, His Girl Friday, starring Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell. By the way, Tony was looking super snazzy in his blue suit, accented with a red tie and pocket handkerchief. The colors were popping in that scene and looked amazing. The shot of the week this week is a cool one of the bad guy, who's shaking Doug down for dough, creeping up behind an unsuspecting Ariana. She was too busy looking at her phone to notice, and ultimately, someone showed up and he got scared off, but I foresee a kidnapping in the near future. Julie was on the phone with Hope, who promised that her necklace would be coming back to Salem soon. Julie got frustrated at the lack of details and told her, "You know I've never been a very patient woman," and added, "Okay, as actors always say, all will be revealed in the second act." There is no specific origin for the phrase that's been documented, but it refers to the fact that most stories are told in 3 acts, going back to ancient Greece with Aristotle's Poetics. Xander had a stuffed dog he was going to give to Victoria, but learned she was afraid of dogs. So, walking through Horton Square, he spotted Felicity and Kat. He offered the dog to Felicity as a gesture of apology for mistreating her after Sarah had an allergic reaction to a Sweet Bits treat. He started to say, "I was just," and Felicity finished his sentence with, "an ableist jerk?" I had to look that one up. The phrase means, a person who behaves like a jerk by saying or doing things that are discriminatory or disrespectful toward people with disabilities. Xander would later tell Sarah that he apologized to Felicity, and Sarah finished his sentence with, "For being an ass?" That was a laugh-out-loud moment. Leo was having trouble getting the baby to stop crying, so Gabby had to yell, "You should put him in the swing!" He replied, "You think I should sing?" She responded, "Only if you want him to cry louder." He then said, over the crying, "I'm pretty sure you just insulted me, but honestly, I'm too exhausted to even care." Ariana walked in, blocking her ears, and asked Leo, "Oh my God, what are you doing torturing him?" When Leo saw that Gwen was back in town, he approached her and said, "So I take it you didn't come back here to try and work things out with me because you missed my sense of humor and overall adorableness?" She looked at him with scorn and stated, "I miss neither, actually." Gwen then informed Leo, "I hate you, Maddie Cooper, with every fiber of my being. I hate you. And I'm going to make you very, very, very sorry for what you've done." I suggest we, as the audience, duck for cover soon. Alex was trying to come up with a pseudonym for Stephanie to use for her steamy novel, and he said, "You could combine the name of your first pet with the name of the street you grew up on." Smiling, Stephanie asked, "Isn't that how they come up with stripper names?" Later, he told her that if they ever had kids, she wouldn't get to name them because she admitted she once owned a turtle named Broccoli. Philip asked what sort of trouble Xander got into the previous evening, and Xander replied, "You know, you are revoltingly cloying when you're pretending to be nice to me, Philip." Revoltingly cloying means that someone is so sickeningly sweet, sentimental, or fake that it's actually cringy or unbearable. After Jada questioned Chanel, she said, "Oh my God, it's getting to be like Groundhog Day around here. How many more times am I going to be accused of a crime I didn't commit?" That's a reference to the 1993 comedy film in which Bill Murray stars as a narcissistic, self-centered weatherman finds himself in a time loop on Groundhog Day. The reaction of the week goes to Javi and Leo. Gwen and Xander got drunk, and she convinced him to go up to her room. Javi and Leo were witnesses to this, and the shocked look on their faces was priceless. In Monday's Days of Our Lives episode, someone was watching Chad through binoculars, and we know that because they used the binocular double circle view. In reality, when you look through binoculars, your brain merges the two circular images from each eyepiece into a single, seamless image. You do not see two overlapping black circles like the above screenshot implies. Julie was later a target of the mysterious binocular viewer. Although this erroneous view is meant to imply that someone's using binoculars, it's anatomically incorrect. No one actually sees this way through binoculars. Modern camera lenses and editing software could easily simulate a more realistic effect, yet the industry continues to rely on this outdated and inaccurate visual. When I see this used, it breaks my immersion in the show or film and just seems like a mistake. Chad told Kat that she loves jumping out of planes, and she laughs in the face of creepy clowns. He has absolutely no idea that she's a spy. That's why she's not afraid of those things. And I wonder if he's going to start noticing more things about her that may end up exposing her dual identity to him. Later, when Kat was putting a glow stick bracelet on Chad, he noticed a message pop up on her phone that told her to meet someone the next day. He's definitely going to start putting the pieces together, but may think she's just seeing someone and not talking about it. I love little details in shows, like when Sophia was reading the online version of The Spectator, we saw the article for a couple of seconds, and it read like this: "Even though they keep taking 2 steps forward and 1 step backward when they converse, I really feel that ultimately, Xander and Sarah will end up back together. But he's got a lot of self-improvement to do. Maggie had some good words of wisdom because her relationship with Victor was similar. Guys always need a good woman to rein them in." Thanks once again for joining me, duelers. I will be off next week because I'm going to attempt to determine if early birds do, in fact, get the worms, or if someone or something else does. Here is your Days of Our Lives sneak peek video for the week of July 14th, 2025. Things get perilous for the 2 young ladies who always seem to be hanging around Doug III. The goons who are after Doug have been photographing and following Holly and Ariana for weeks. Finally, they make their big move and kidnap the recent high school graduates. Holly and Ari are 2 tough girls, so they try to talk their way out of the situation. Holly wants to know what happens if Doug can't come up with the money he owes them. They are told that things will get complicated, so Doug had better come up with a plan fast when he learns what's really going on. Gwen decides to make herself at home in the DiMera mansion, where she shares tea and pleasantries with Kristen. The 2 women try not to claw each other's eyes out as they discuss Gwen's connection to the DiMera clan. Kristen is surprised to hear that Megan DiMera is still Gwen's mother-in-law, which may make Gwen feel she is entitled to live in the mansion and cause chaos. Dimitri and Gwen are still married, which might cause a whole lot of trouble for Kristen, but could give us a whole lot of humor and entertainment. Sarah and Xander go another round over Victoria. Sarah is furious that Xander won't let her take Victoria on vacation and tells her estranged husband that she won't let him control her. Does Sarah threaten to take Victoria out of the country anyway, prompting Xander to warn her that she might be making the biggest mistake of her life? Xander is deathly afraid that Sarah won't bring his daughter home. Belle and EJ might be going against each other in court, but neither one wants to see Johnny go to jail. They both know in their guts that Johnny is innocent, so Belle has an idea to prove it. The raw tension between Xander, played by Paul Telfer, and Maggie, played by Suzanne Rogers, on Days of Our Lives, is still there. Ever since Xander and Sarah had a falling out, Xander and Maggie have been at odds too. Soap Central is bestowing Performers of the Week honors on Telfer and Rogers for their recent showdown. Xander's brutal beating of Philip is unforgivable. Still, no one can deny that Xander deeply cares for his daughter. There's a dichotomy there that Telfer plays beautifully. One minute, he's a man you wouldn't want to cross, and the next, well, you still wouldn't want to cross him, but that's because he's showing his protective side to his child. "You really want to pick this fight with me, Maggie?" Xander rhetorically asked his mother-in-law as he burst into the Kyriakis mansion looking for his child. In turn, Rogers brought strength and calmness to her voice as Maggie tried to reason with Xander. She informed him that there was no grand scheme to take Victoria away from him. The intensity in these scenes intensified as Xander agreed that Victoria was taking a trip, only it was going to be with him and not with Maggie and Sarah. "No one is stealing your child," Maggie said. Rogers brought a rational tone to Maggie's point of view, as Maggie urged Xander to reason with Sarah. She didn't let Xander walk all over her, but she did her best to calm the situation too. When Xander suggested that Victoria's more stable parent take the lead, Rogers had Maggie chuckle as she said, "And you can't possibly believe that that's you?" Xander wasn't laughing, though. Crossing her arms, Maggie invoked Victor's name, telling Xander that he'd be disappointed in him. Xander pulled the blood relative card, prompting Rogers to intensify Maggie's next line. "I was his wife!" Maggie went on to call Xander's bluff, asking him if he was going to return to his old self. I'm the monster my father made me, Maggie," Xander proclaimed as Telfer had his character lean in to deliver that point. "Maybe you should get used to it." Later, Sarah returned home and asked where her daughter was. "She isn't here," a resigned Maggie said. "Xander took her." Bam! Talk about a Friday tag. Bravo to Telfer and Rogers for playing such great drama that has resulted in the fallout from Xander and Sarah's split. Days of Our Lives sees Gabby Hernandez and Tony DiMera are just about to launch a big plan to take back the family business, and it all centers on a honeypot scheme. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to lay it out for you while I give you these spoilers. We're going to talk about why Gabby and Tony are the best ones to get DiMera Enterprises out of Kyriakis' hands. So, if you have been keeping up with today's episodes, and I know some of you do and some of you don't, you just listen here, which thank you. You know by now that Gabby is super stressed out, that Gabby Cheek is under the Titan umbrella of companies, and that she is under Xander and Philip Kyriakis' thumb. She has tried several things to wiggle her fashion and lifestyle brand away from Xander and Philip, but nothing works so far. She talked to Alex Kyriakis. She's talked to Brady Black. She's tried different things, and you might have seen that Tony really wants to get control of his father's legacy back away from the Kyriakis. But at the same time, I think that he's unsure that his brother EJ DiMera is the best one to involve in this because Tony wants the family business to be legit. And EJ wants it to be business as usual, but with Johnny DiMera as CEO. And we know business as usual is dodgy. So, right now, while EJ is distracted, manipulating Belle Black with edited video footage, and getting Johnny off on murder charges by any means necessary, I think Tony is going to take a totally different approach to saving DiMera Enterprises while EJ is busy elsewhere. So, in the summer promo, Gabby and Tony are talking at the DiMera mansion, and she talks about fighting fire with fire, which is of course an age-old cliché. But then Tony flips it on the ear and tells Gabby, "No, They're gonna fight fire with arson. As in, Tony wants him and Gabby to burn down the Kyriakis, not fighting fire with fire. He wants to put accelerant on it and just really blow it up. So specifically, Tony is cooking up a scheme with Gabby to target the Kyriakis' brothers, Xander and Philip. Those two have already had a lot of problems already, because Xander found out Philip lied and stole part of his inheritance, and then Xander beat him almost to death, and then Sarah Horton dumped Xander, and he was arrested, and he was released because Philip is covering for him. So honestly, it's a total chaotic mess at the house of Kyriakis, and Philip and Xander are still at odds, but they are determined to make a success of Titan Demera. But they're at each other's throats. It's just very problematic. It looks like Gabby is going to try to take everything away from them. She is going to go all in on Tony's plan, and she is toying with Hunky Philip and Hunky Xander to ruin them, possibly ruin their lives to get her fashion brand back under her own control and help Tony get Demera back. So Gabby is soon locking lips with both Xander and Philip. She's going to be pitting one brother against the other. That's all part of her and Tony's game plan. The brothers are already shaky, and then Tony's got Gabby as his secret sexy weapon. Xander and Philip used EJ shooting, if you don't remember, and Kristen Demera's issues keeping control of the company and her own sketchy background to convince Li Shin on the board that he should let Titan Industries take over Demera. And that included its subsidiary Gabby Chic. They gave him a big incentive, but now Li Shin is a little worried. Things haven't been great at Titan Demera, not since Xander kicked Philip's butt and almost killed him. And now Xander and Philip are kind of mutually blackmailing each other, so things are fragile. Alex is feeling the tension. Johnny is feeling it as the newest employee. As I said, it's a big mess. But now we've got Tony back in Salem with a more level head. Still a devious Demera, but he is trying to do the right thing by the family. He wants what rightfully belongs to the Demeras. Now, Tony doesn't love that Demera Enterprises was a front for a bunch of criminal activities over the years. You know, their dad, the late great nefarious Stefano Demera, was a villain. He was a criminal. So Tony wants it back, but he wants to rehab that image. So, I'm curious to see if Gabby drops by to conspire with Tony, or he invites Gabby over to test the waters. Tony may have heard that Gabby's very dissatisfied with what went down and thinks that she might be the person to help him defeat Xander and Philip. So Tony and Gabby plan to pour gasoline on the dumpster fire that these siblings have going, you know. And we actually had to pause and look at the new big super promo about 4 times to see Philip with Gabby, because they were in this little horizontal bar and they were getting horizontal. But you had to kind of pause it to look at the cheekbones, because Philip and Xander both have these very dramatic cheekbones. And you know they don't look a lot alike, but when you're looking at them in profile, so we ran that back several times. We're like, okay, yeah, it's both brothers. And looks like with Philip, she may be doing more than just locking lips. As for Gabby and Xander, they're at the bistro. Gabby pulls him in for a kiss right in front of Sarah and Brady. And I am curious to find out if Gabby knew that Sarah and Brady were going to be there, and she sat this up on purpose on Days of Our Lives. Sarah sees Xander kissing Gabby, and then Sarah decides to smooch Brady in front of Xander, who then decides to punch Brady. Clearly, that Titan HR anger management course isn't having the intended effect. Or maybe Xander ditched and never went, even though Philip told him to go get some help with his anger issues. And some days fans are actually wondering if Philip and Gabby are going to fall for each other during the honeypot plot. And if you've not heard that phrase before, a honeypot, sometimes it's also called a honey trap. It's usually in like secret agents, spy films, and real life as well. It's when usually a female agent is working undercover, using sex or romance to compromise the person or persons they're targeting to take them down or get information out of them, or, weaken them in some way. So, I do think Philip is far more likely to fall for a honeypot than Xander, because Sarah still has Xander's heart. But Philip is single. He's never dated Gabby before, and she's undeniably gorgeous. And she dumped Jack Jr. Devereaux after he accused her of shooting EJ, although JJ had good reason. So, she's single too. And in the end, Gabby and Tony could win back Demera, but Philip could win the girl. However, if he finds out Gabby was honey trapping him, he might be angry. Maybe, then again, Philip's a schemer too, so I don't know if he would actually hold it against her at all, or for too long. He might just be too happy to have a woman in his life like her. So, needless to say, I don't know about you guys, but I'm super stoked to see Gabby and Tony fight fire with arson and pit Xander and Philip against each other. We're going to see if the brothers win, or if the ex-in-laws are going to pull off a big scheme, rip apart this Titan-Demera merger, and bring Demera back home to the family.